All right, welcome everyone. Today we're diving into this explainer, and we are going to trace the absolutely fascinating evolution of a single ancient rule into a really profound observation about modern human psychology. We're unpacking source material that looks at an idea we usually associate with, dusty ancient history, idolatry. But as you'll see, it reveals how this concept is actually a deeply relevant psychological blueprint for our lives right now. We're going to see how the definition of a false god completely shifted over the centuries, moving away from the physical world and right into the human mind. So I want you to hold this question in your mind for a second. What does an ancient rule about carved wood have anything to do with your bank account today? I mean, at first glance, these things seem completely disconnected, right? One belongs in an antiquity museum, and the other is just a digital number on your smartphone. But as we map out the text today, we're going to see a direct, undeniable line connecting this ancient prohibition about physical statues directly to our modern obsession with wealth, appearance, and status. To really make sense of this whole thing, we'll track the concept chronologically through four key markers. First up, Exodus and the original rule. Then, Isaiah and the literal failure. After that, Matthew and the heart shift. And finally, Romans and our modern reality. Okay, let's jump right into part one, the original commandment, no graven images. So here's the direct, literal law from Exodus 20, verse 4. It says, "You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above or on the earth beneath or in the waters below." It is incredibly straightforward. I mean, it's a physical prohibition. The ancient directive was simply do not create physical representations of anything, whether that's birds, fish, terrestrial animals, and treat them as objects of ultimate worship. It's a very specific rule about physical craftsmanship and where you actually direct your reverence. It is literally black and white. Moving on to part two, the absurdity of wood and humanity's immediate failures. Now, the prophet Isaiah points out this brilliant, honestly almost comedic irony. He observes human behavior and notes that a person will take a single piece of wood, chop it right in half, and use the first half for practical, everyday chores, burning it as fuel, baking bread over its coals, roasting some meat. But then they take the exact same log, the other half of it, carve it up, and literally bow down to it as a deity. Isaiah is pointing out the absolute logical absurdity here. I mean, you're using the exact same block of wood to make your dinner and to make your god. Our source material goes even further with this really powerful quote from Isaiah 44:20. The text reads, "Such a person feeds on ashes. A deluded heart misleads him. He cannot save himself or say, 'Is not this thing in my right hand a lie?'" Look at how the text diagnoses this behavior. It's not just calling it simple foolishness or a lack of intelligence. It explicitly calls it a deluded heart. The psychological blindness here is so thick that the person completely fails to recognize that the literal lie is resting right there in their own right hand. They constructed the object themselves, they know it's just wood, and yet they are totally captive to the delusion that it holds ultimate power over them. It's wild. Which brings us to part three, serving two masters and the massive paradigm shift. So the crucial point here is how Jesus fundamentally expands the commandment in Matthew 6:24. The text says, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." Notice this profound shift. We're no longer talking about bowing down to a block of carved wood in the middle of the desert. The focus has completely 100% shifted to pledging internal devotion to wealth. The object of worship is now invisible. It's entirely in the heart. And this brilliantly illustrates our modern definition. An idol, or a master in this context, is no longer defined just as a carved piece of stone or wood. It is any source of ultimate devotion, love, or security that demands service and competes with God. It's whatever abstract concept actually dictates a person's life, their decisions, and their loyalties. Basically, if your pursuit of money dictates your ethics, how you spend your time, and your ultimate sense of safety, well, then money is functioning exactly the way that carved block of wood did for the ancients. The mechanism of worship is identical, even if the object has completely changed. Let's move to part four, worshiping created things and our continuing failure. The text in Romans 1:21 outlines a very specific and, frankly, fascinating psychological progression. It notes that when people ignore the Creator, when they basically fail to glorify Him or show gratitude, there's a direct cognitive consequence. Their thinking became futile and their foolish hearts were darkened. It's like a cascade effect. Once that ultimate source of meaning gets removed from the center of everything, human reasoning just begins to spin its wheels. It becomes totally futile. And just like Isaiah's deluded heart that we talked about earlier, Paul in Romans speaks of foolish hearts becoming darkened. We essentially lose the ability to see things as they truly are. Which brings us right to the climax of this progression, Romans 1:25. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator. Here, the text explicitly identifies the core human issue as a tragic exchange. We swap out the ultimate truth for a lie. And how exactly do we do that? By obsessing over created things. This is really the ultimate synthesis of everything we're exploring today. An idol isn't just a bad statue anymore. It's elevating any created thing, a career, a relationship, an object, your status, to the place of the ultimate creator. Finally, Part 5, the open invitation, ancient rules and modern reality. Our source material directly identifies three major modern equivalents that function as the created things we now serve: wealth, physical appearance, and status. Just think about it for a second. Think about how much time, energy, and sheer anxiety in our modern world get poured into these three buckets. We look to our bank accounts for ultimate security. We look to our physical appearance for our ultimate worth, our lovability. We look to our social status and our careers to prove that we actually matter. The text is showing us that these abstract concepts have simply replaced the ancient blocks of wood. We're actually still bowing down. We're still looking to created, finite things to give us infinite security. And, well, it's a burden those things were literally never designed to bear. But the source material doesn't just end with condemnation. It ends with this truly remarkable open invitation. It says, if you're treating wealth, physical appearance, or status as a source of security, go to church anyway. This is such a powerful conclusion. It completely acknowledges the universal human flaw. We all naturally drift towards seeking security in created things. We all build modern idols. But the invitation remains wide open. It welcomes community, reflection, and grace completely regardless of your ongoing struggles with these modern false gods. You don't have to have it all perfectly sorted out to seek something higher. So, as we wrap up this explainer, we really want to leave you with the exact same provocative challenge the text poses. I want you to look at your own life, your own anxieties, your own daily pursuits. Are you finding your ultimate security in created things rather than the Creator? What gives you your ultimate sense of worth? Ask yourself, maybe in the quiet moments of your day, what might you be gripping tightly right now? What is the lie you might be holding in your very own right hand? Thanks so much for joining me for this deep dive, and keep questioning what you truly value.